My company overworked me for years, so I quit in a way they'll never forget. I still remember the sound of the office printer that night, the only sound in a dark room filled with ghost monitors. Everyone else had gone home hours ago, but I was still there running system tests, finishing reports, and answering late-night Slack pings from my boss, Ethan Cole. He loved calling me the dependable one, but I knew what that really meant, the one who never says no. I was 32, a systems engineer in Austin, Texas. I'd spent the last 6 years keeping the back end of a mid-sized tech company running. Servers, code, pipelines, automations, I'd built half of them myself. But you know what I got in return? Missed birthdays, unpaid overtime, and a boss who took credit for every single one of my solutions. It started as quiet resentment. Then it turned into something else, a cold, deliberate kind of anger. And that's where this story begins. For years, I told myself I was lucky to even have this job. I joined Dynatech Solutions right out of grad school. Austin was booming with tech, and I thought this was my big break. I threw myself into it, building new tools, fixing legacy systems, making things faster, cleaner, smarter. But Ethan was a master manipulator in a suit. He knew exactly how to phrase things, so you felt guilty for saying no. Hey Julian, just one more push tonight, I'll owe you big. Man, no one else understands this stuff like you do. Be a team player, we'll talk bonus later. But later never came. Instead, I got promotions without pay raises, fancy titles that meant nothing. And the worst part? Ethan loved making examples out of me. He'd tell the team, Julian works weekends, that's why he's valuable. The others learned quickly if you didn't burn out, you didn't belong. I became a shell of myself. My girlfriend left me. My parents stopped asking why I was missing family dinners. I was alive, but not living. Until one Friday night, something inside me cracked. We were preparing a massive rollout, a system-wide update that I'd single-handedly built over 4 months. Ethan promised I'd lead the presentation to the board. This is your moment, he said. But when the day came, he walked into that meeting alone. He presented my system, my code, my workflow diagrams. And when the CEO asked how he managed to build it all so seamlessly, Ethan smiled and said, team effort, but I did most of the architecture myself. I sat there, watching through the glass wall of the conference room. My fists were clenched so tight I could feel my nails cutting into my palms. That was the day I stopped being a loyal employee. That was the day I became a planner. People talk about revenge as something loud, screaming, confrontation, drama. Mine was silent. Surgical. Over the next few months, I began building a hidden automation framework. Every repetitive task I handled, data logging, report generation, server resets, monitoring alerts. I wrote scripts for all of it. Then I refined those scripts until they didn't need me at all. The irony? Ethan praised me for being efficient. He had no idea I was building my replacement. By the time I was done, my system could do in 15 minutes what took me 3 hours. It was self-updating, self-restarting, and it sent Ethan fake daily summaries that looked like I was working manually. He'd message me things like, Julian, nice work today on the weekly diagnostics. I'd smile at my screen. The diagnostics had run themselves at 3 a.m. That's when I realized I had all the leverage I'd ever need. Once the system was flawless, I started taking note of everything Ethan did wrong. Number 1, missed audit forms. Number 2, unapproved expense reimbursements. Number 3, unauthorized software licenses. He was cutting corners everywhere, but no one ever questioned him because the system worked. And who was keeping it running? Me. He thought he was untouchable. One afternoon, he called me into his office. Hey, Jules, he said, using that fake friendly tone, we need you to cancel your vacation next week. Board presentation's been moved up. You're my right hand, remember? That was it. The last straw. I went home that night and made a copy of every automation log, every Slack chat, every email. I stored them in a personal encrypted drive, my safety net, and then I started writing my resignation letter. I didn't quit right away. I wanted the timing to be perfect. Ethan's biggest weakness was his ego. He always wanted to look like the company's savior. So when he promised the CEO a seamless quarterly transition, I decided that would be the day I dropped the bomb. I programmed every automation to stop running on that Friday at 12 noon sharp. No alerts, no warnings, just silence. And at exactly 11:55, I scheduled my resignation email to hit HR's inbox with a time-delayed copy to Ethan. It read, "Effective immediately, I resign from Dynatech Solutions. All transition documentation has been completed as required." That was a lie, of course. The documentation existed, but only in my private drive. At 12 sharp, I hit deploy. It started with 1 alert, then 10, then hundreds. The automated system stopped syncing, the dashboards went dark, data streams froze. Within an hour, every department was panicking. Ethan stormed into my empty cubicle shouting, "Where the hell is Julian?" HR walked in moments later, holding my resignation email. He went pale. Without my automations, no one knew how anything worked. I had been the silent backbone holding the company together. And Ethan? He was exposed. He couldn't even log into the admin console because I had set the passwords. By Monday morning, HR started investigating. Ethan tried to claim I'd sabotaged the system, but my paper trail told a different story. I'd kept meticulous logs showing that every automation, every script, and every update had been approved by him. He had personally greenlit every step. So when the CEO asked him, "Why didn't you prepare for Julian's exit?" he had no answer. My resignation email had attached a folder titled Process Continuity Per Management Directive. Inside were screenshots of Ethan's signatures approving each script. HR realized quickly he was lying. And then came the final blow. One of my automation tools had been recording activity logs. In those logs were clear entries showing Ethan had been claiming technical work I'd done as his own in company reports. That was the nail in the coffin. I didn't stick around to see the full aftermath. I was already 2 states away, sipping coffee in a quiet Airbnb, watching the chaos unfold on LinkedIn. Within a week, rumors started spreading. Major system outage at Dynatech. Senior manager under internal review. 2 weeks later, a friend from accounting texted me, "Dude, Ethan's been suspended pending HR investigation. They're calling it the silent resignation incident." I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my drink. My automations had become legendary, the ghost in the machine that no one could replicate. They spent weeks trying to rebuild them and failed. Ethan had to admit publicly that I'd built the infrastructure he'd claimed as his own. His career? Done. 3 months later, I got a call from the CEO himself. He wasn't angry, just exhausted. He said, "Julian, we'd love to have you back in a consultant role, whatever you want, your rate, your terms." I smiled. "Thanks, but I'm finally on vacation." That night, I stood outside under the Austin sky free for the first time in years. Ethan had overworked me until I nearly lost myself. But in the end, he became a prisoner of the system I built. Revenge didn't come through anger or confrontation. It came through patience, precision, and silence. That's why I call it the silent resignation bomb.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, go watch the one on the left and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more tales of triumph over injustice and a saga of ultimate revenge.